الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. We've been reflecting on the hadith from Imam Kazim alayhi salam about the significance of knowledge and intellect. And we reached this point: لا نجاة إلا بالطاعة والطاعة بالعلم والعلم بالتعلم والتعلم بالعقل يعتقد ولا علم إلا من عالم رباني ومعرفة العلم بالعقل. We studied up to the very last part of it. ومعرفة العلم بالعقل. This was the remaining part. We said that knowledge, in the sense that it is a result of functioning of both heart and mind, can be only learned from pious scholars, from ulama rabbani, because they don't just give you some piece of information. They give you information, but with understanding and with big change in the heart, so that what you know you follow, what you know you appreciate. Then Imam says وَمَعْرِفَةُ الْعِلْمِ بِالْعَقْلِ. There is a difference between ma'rifah and ilm. Ilm can be used in a very general sense. Sometimes to have ilm is enough just to hear name of something. For example, if I have heard name of a town that I have never been there, I have never had any friends from that town, but I have heard the name of the town, I have seen the town in the map, I can say I have ilm about that town, but I cannot say I have ma'rifah. Ma'rifah, whenever is used for a type of ilm which is very personal, very specific. If I have been living in a town, or at least I have traveled there and I stayed there for some considerable period of time, I know the people there, I know some of the places there. So I have some personal experience, I can say I have ma'rifah. Otherwise, I cannot say I have ma'rifah about that town. If I have studied, for example, philosophy, just by reading some articles about philosophy, maybe something about history of philosophy, some introduction to philosophy, so I can say I know what is philosophy. But I cannot say I have ma'rifah of philosophy. The only time you can have ma'rifah of philosophy is when you yourself do philosophy. When you somehow are a philosopher, then you have ma'rifah. In many educational systems, what happens is that the teachers just give some info to the students, or they ask them to gain this information by reading the books, by nowadays surfing the internet, and so on and so forth. So information is gained, but this is not ma'rifah. Ma'rifah is when you process that information and make it of your own. Information is something on the surface of your mind. When you process it and make it of your own, it goes deeper. I may have, many books on a shelf, but the only time I can say I have knowledge of these books is when I absorb the information. One of the problems in our age is that we are receiving so much information that we don't have hardly any time to evaluate them, to process them, to analyze them, and to really grasp them. People have heard many things, but not necessarily their understanding has increased. Not necessarily their mistakes are reduced. One sign of having proper understanding is that you should make less mistakes. You see, sometimes people have more information, but they make more mistakes because it's just some data without being processed, but without being absorbed and being used. So, if we want to make it ma'rifah, if we want to make it something which is our own achievement, we need to think. It is only by thinking and reasoning that you make it of your own. You own it. Imam says, ma'rifatul ilm bil aql. If someone tells you, for example, inna akramakum indallah atqakum, even when it comes to the Quran and Hadith, okay, this is ilm. You know what does it mean? Inna akramakum indallah atqakum. But when it becomes ma'rifah, when does it become ma'rifah? That's another question. Maybe I know inna akramakum indallah atqakum, I can recite it in different ways. I can translate it in different languages, but this doesn't mean that I have ma'rifah of inna akramakum indallah atqakum. If I know what is the rationale behind this, I know what is the whole argument behind this, why the honor is based on taqwa, and the more taqwa gives you more honor in the sight of Allah. If I understand this, if I feel this by my heart as well, then I have ma'rifah. And such a person then would be a pious person, because when he has ma'rifah of the subject, he has really properly understood, then he cannot ignore. You cannot ignore what you have ma'rifah of it, but you can ignore what you have just some information about it. So we have to gain at having ma'rifah. Then Imam said, Ya Hisham, qalilul amal min al-alim maqbulun mudha'af. A person who is alim in the sense that we mentioned, not the one who has just some information, the one who has achieved understanding of the truth by his heart and mind and acts accordingly, such a person, even if he manages to do little actions, not that much, just few actions, Allah will accept and multiply the rewards of his action. Maybe this person, for example, reads 1 page of Quran every day, but Allah will accept from him. Why? Because when he recites 1 page of the Quran, he does it with understanding. He appreciates the Quran. And because indeed he knows how important it is to recite the Quran, sometimes this stops him being fast in reading. It's difficult for him to go through these verses without reflection. If you are taken to an art exhibition, a person who doesn't appreciate, in 5 minutes he sees everything and comes out. He says, I'm done. A person who really appreciates those, he stops for every, piece of art, maybe half an hour, 1 hour. He cannot go to the next. This painting is beautiful. This statue is beautiful. He cannot go on visiting them very quickly. A person who has that understanding, it's very difficult for him to recite the Quran very fast. Because every verse of the Quran for him is a world. He wants to reflect and enjoy. So, or when he wants to, for example, pray, it's not like me that, I pray very fastly because I don't enjoy that much prayer. I am just looking for reward. So I said, let me finish it quickly so that I gain more reward. Like people who, for example, are paid according to the contracts. So they want to finish this building and make another building, then another building, because they just want money. That's the reward. But if someone really loves making houses and building houses, if he really loves, he wants to make every house perfect, as much as he can. Because this is what he enjoys. If someone loves teaching, for example, he cannot teach a lot because he wants to make sure that his teaching is proper, so he spends more time on preparation and also afterwards time with the student and so on and so on. So, for alim, it's very possible that the quantity of his actions become less. Because he needs more time, he tries to do it with understanding, with reflection. And also another reason is that such person has other things to do. Because he doesn't feel that he must only, for example, do some mustahabbat. He has also other responsibilities. Imam alayhi salam says, it's not a matter of quantity. If such a person has very limited number of actions, Allah still will accept. Maqboolun, his actions will be accepted, and mudha'afun, Allah will multiply. 2 rak'ah prayer of this person is equal to many rak'ah prayer of the person who doesn't have that knowledge. 1 page of recitation of this person is equal to maybe entire Khatm Quran of another person. Of course, if this person with this understanding manages to do more, he should do more. We should not think that, okay, so quantity is not at all important. This means that the quantity is not the major criteria. The main thing is to make sure the quality. It's like, for example, if you want to drive, for example, from here to Tehran, the very first thing is to make sure that you have right direction. You cannot say direction is not important, I drive very fast. If you drive very fast, if you drive even days and nights, but in the wrong direction, you never reach. If you are in the right direction, even if your speed is limited, is very slow, day by day, you get closer and closer. Of course, if you can go faster, would be better. So, at the same time that we focus on quality, but we don't say quality is not important at all. We say it's a secondary issue. But on the opposite, وَكَثِيرُ الْعَمَلِ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْهَوَى وَالْجَهْلِ مَرْدُودٌ. But those who don't have quality, and they just do a lot, these are the people who are ahlul hawa wal jahl. This confirms what we have been saying, that alim here is the one who has knowledge and taqwa. So opposite is the one who is ahlul hawa wal jahl, the one who follows his own lusts and appetites and desires and is ignorant. When he does a lot, it's not useful. As we have in hadith, لا يزيده سرعة السير إلا بعدا. Sometimes the more you do, the farther you are. When you are in the right direction, if you go faster, then you would be in a worse condition. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةِ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Not أَيُّكُمْ أَكْثَرُ عَمَلًا. Which is very difficult for us. We always want to do something more. For us, quantity is very important. If we don't finish something, or if we don't do it many times, we don't feel satisfied. We want, always to do more and more and more. We think that it's wastage of time if we do something perfectly. Instead of doing something perfectly, we want to do more. But this is not the right way of understanding. So, كثير العمل من أهل الهوى والجهل مردود would be rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't have time to mention something in details about validity of actions in Islamic ethics. I just make one quick point. There are different groups of moral philosophers. For some people, the only thing which matters is the action. If the action is good, they don't bother about the doer of the action. Who is the agent? What type of intention he has? It's not important. For example, if you are a shopkeeper, if you are punctual, if you treat your clients with courtesy, if you give them good price, if you have good manners, if they are not, pleased, you accept to refund, then this is enough. What is your intention? It's not a concern for them. Maybe your intention is just to attract more clients, to make more money. That's not important. What is important is that you have such behavior. Okay? These are the actions that matter for this type of people. On the other hand, there are people who say that no, you may have all these things, but still these may not be moral actions. People like Kant, they say intention of the agent is very important. If you do it just to make more profit, more money, this is not morality. Morality starts when you do things out of a feeling of responsibility. So you tell the truth not to attract people. You give them good price, not to please them so that they come to your shop, again and again. You do it because you feel this is your moral responsibility, it's your duty. And therefore, even in some cases, it happens to be against your interest. Still, you must do it. Imagine that if you treat them in this way, you will lose. They are not going to come again, for example. Just he's coming here for the first time and last time. Still, you have to do it. In Islamic understanding, we say that both action must be good and agent must have good intention. Action and agent both must have some goodness. Husn fi'li and husn fa'ili. Goodness of the action and goodness of the agent. But something that we have in Islam that it doesn't exist in Kantian view and many other people is that for us, goodness of the agent is much more than goodness of intention. Two people who do the same thing with the good intention, still their actions can be judged very differently. Because first of all, there are different levels of good intention. It's not just one fixed level of good intention. There are different levels of good intention. And secondly, the knowledge and understanding of the agent is also very important. If a person with very little knowledge does something for the sake of God, I'm not saying for sake of his own interest, he does something for the sake of God, and an alim does the same thing for the sake of God, these actions are totally different. Because the merits and qualities of the agent can add to the value of the action. You understand? So when a person like Imam Ali alayhi salam does something for the sake of God, and a normal person does something again for the sake of God, you cannot say they are the same, because there is husn fi'li and husn fa'ili. There are so many levels of doing something for the sake of God, and so many levels of understanding what you do and appreciating what you do. Sometimes I do something for the sake of God, but I don't enjoy what I am doing. Sometimes I enjoy it and I do it with love. It makes big difference. Sometimes I give charity to some people for the sake of God, but I feel in my heart a pain. I feel I'm losing something. Just I force myself to do something so that Allah is pleased with me. Sometimes I love to do this and I wish I could do more. This makes big difference. And even the impact that it has on others is different. When you teach people and you love them and you love teaching them, it has greater impact when you just teach them to gain reward. So this is something that we should study in ethics, but I just wanted to mention that we shouldn't be surprised that it's not only the quantity which matters. More important than quantity is the agent who does the action. And we have in some hadith that khayrun min al-birr fa'iluhu. Better than good is what the person who is doing good, the agent of good. Okay. The next thing is, Ya Hisham, innal aqil radiya bidun min ad-dunya ma'al hikmah wa lam yarda bidun min al-hikmah ma'ad dunya. If we are aqil, if we really understand and think what should be our priority in our life, something which is great in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or something which is not significant. If I am really aqil, if I really understand, I should know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the whole dunya, the whole worldly gaining and pleasure is nothing. Mata'un qalil. The same, Allah says, وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةِ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Someone who has been given wisdom has been given abundant good. Aqil understands this. So, if he has wisdom, but the price is that he must to give up some of worldly pleasure. You remember in the discussions we had about wisdom, we said one of the things that you need in order to have wisdom is not to go after worldly pleasure. There were hadiths that we, read about this. You cannot, enjoy yourself in eating, drinking, and doing all the luxurious things and then expect wisdom. It needs some kind of exercise, a spiritual exercise. Aqil is the one that prefers to have some wisdom and not that much money, not that much fame and position in dunya. The one who is not aqil, if you tell him, for example, there is a session in which wise things are discussed, or you can increase your knowledge, and there is an opportunity to go and gain some money. He says, no, let me go and gain money. For them, money is more important than wisdom. The one who really appreciates wisdom, sometimes, one wise idea can change all your life. You shouldn't underestimate. Sometimes, maybe one thing that you hear, one meeting with one wise person can change your life. Why we should only be interested in gaining more money? This is wrong. Aqil is the one that prefers to have more access to wisdom than having more money in his bank account. رضي بالدون من الدنيا مع الحكمة ولم يرضى بالدون من الحكمة مع الدنيا. So if you don't have car and you have wisdom, you should not feel sad. If you have car but someone else has wisdom, you should feel sad. You should feel deprived. You should feel that you are poor. Because the real poverty is to lack wisdom and understanding. فَلِذَلِكَ رَبِحَتْ تِجَارَتُهُمْ. This is why in their trade in dunya, they have made profit. Because you know that all of us, in a sense, we are tradesmen and women. We are selling our life. We are selling our talents, our time, our energy. Indeed, sometimes we sell ourselves. خَسَرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ. So we totally lose everything. At first, those who gamble, first they give their cash. Then they give the bank account. Then they sell their car and the house. And finally they may become a slave. Say, okay, I work for you, I become your slave. You are my master. So in dunya we have this trade, this business. Those who are aqil, they know that the only thing that they should gain instead of what they sell is wisdom, understanding, which leads to knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which leads to getting closer to Allah. Therefore they are successful. Other people, they think by gaining more money, big houses and good cars, they are gaining. So they lose. Because when the lights are on, when darkness is over, you realize that these are just toys. Imagine if you have sold everything to purchase a pseudo house, a pseudo car, just some toys. This dunya is all la'ibun wa lahwun. Don't take it seriously. These are only toys. The real things are those things that remain for akhirah. So is it better to buy a house in akhirah or to buy a house which is a toy in dunya? Which one is better? Of course, it's better to buy the house for akhirah. But who can understand this? Aqil, the one who is aqil, the one who thinks, the one who understands. Then Imam says, Ya Hisham, إن الأقلاء تركوا فضول الدنيا فكيف الذنوب. When such understanding people are not even wasting their time on gaining worldly, achievements and possessions and wealth, then for sure they don't commit any sin. Even those things which are not haram, which are permitted, they don't have interest. They don't have interest in money, although it is not haram. They don't have interest in luxurious life, although it may not be haram as such. So when for these people this has become clear, then for sure they never commit sins. You know, sometimes you raise your standards so high that committing a sin for you is never, something that you can even think about it. If I want to become like Bahrul Ulum and Muqaddas Ardebili, I never think about committing a sin. My only concern would be, what should I do with my leisure time? Should I, for example, eat, delicious food or not? This is my concern. Should I sleep, this much or that much? I just want to think about my mubahat and how to make sure that I don't, waste my time. Why? Because I have raised my standards. But if I just want to be a normal, average mu'min, then there is a chance of sometimes thinking, shall I do this haram or not? Sometimes, I say to brothers and sisters that in our prayer, we should achieve and we should have ambition for achieving highest levels of taqwa, not just to be muttaqi. We say, وَجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. This is the way that you should have ambition for. Make me leader of the pious people, imam of the pious people. Not just وَجْعَلْنِي مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. If I just want to be muttaqi, there is a chance that I may fail. But if I aim at being leader of muttaqin, then even if I don't become leader, at least I become deputy leader or vice deputy leader. You have to aim at highest levels of perfection. First of all, it's possible that you can achieve. But even if you don't achieve, at least a little less. But if you just want to be pleased with the bottom line and you a little bit fail, you lose everything. It's like those who, for example, want to pass exam and they just want to gain the mark which is enough for passing exam. For example, 10 out of 20. So if you aim at just getting 10, then there is great chance that you may get 8, 7, 6. But if you say, I want to get 20, so if you don't get 20, at least you get 19 or 18. So we have to work harder and we have to raise our expectations from ourselves. So, إِنَّ الْأُقَلَاءَ تَرَكُوا فُضُولَ الدُّنْيَا فَكَيْفَ الذُّنُوبِ. So what about the sins? وَتَرْكُ الدُّنْيَا مِنَ الْفَضْلِ وَتَرْكُ الذُّنُوبِ مِنَ الْفَضْلِ. Not committing sins is obligatory. Not going after dunya is not obligatory, is good, is a merit. When people go after merits, they will never then commit sins, because not committing sins is necessary. So, this is the way aql is connected to morality. Aql is connected to spirituality. This is why I was saying that this aql is not something only related to mind. This aql is related to mind and heart together. This aql is very essential part of us. Mind is only some aspect of our being. You cannot decide about whether a person is good or bad just by looking into his mind. That's not all what we are. But mind and heart together make our personality. And therefore, such a person with such function of mind and heart together at the service of truth is a person that would certainly have a moral, pious life. I stop here, and inshallah we continue with the rest of hadith next week. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our knowledge and understanding of Himself and of His friends, His awliya. May Allah enable us to serve our Imam Zaman before and after he comes. May Allah enable us to be at the service of ulama Rabbani in dunya and at the service of Ahlul Bayt in akhirah. May Allah heal all the brothers and sisters who are ill. May Allah put an end to the suffering of all who suffer in dunya because of illness and poverty and lack of security. May Allah hasten the reappearance of Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. And may Allah forgive all the people who have passed away from mu'mineen and mu'minat, those who belong to the brothers and sisters here, those who have rights upon us, our great ulama and maraja and martyrs. And may inshallah the last moment of our life be the best moment of our life. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.